Man, where is he? Hey, what are you doing?
I'm cutting this tree. What do you think?
Dude, we've got to record a video. You're gonna lose subscribers.
No, I'm cutting this tree. Give me a minute, okay?
Why are you cutting this tree at like this time? The sun's about to go down.
I'm cutting this tree because nobody else wants to do it. And I need to have time to cut it. So please, give me some time.
Dude, it's hot. Like, why don't you just
Would
wait?
you please be quiet? If you're not gonna give me any time to do any of this, then I am just gonna have to cut you out of my life. So come here! Whew. And that was a scare. Hey guys, welcome to Higher Volume. I'm Josh, and we're gonna do a little something different today. I'm gonna have a retrospect on a horror film, but before I say what horror film exactly, even though you already know from the thumbnail, I just want to say that I am also going to talk about the state of horror movies and horror films of today and how different they are from back then and the evolution of horror films to a certain degree. So let's get on with the video, guys. Here is my review for The Shining in 4K. Okay, so I saw The Shining in 4K the other day, and I loved it. Now, there was no way I was not going to love this film. I mean, it's a classic and everything, but just so guys let you know is I've never seen The Shining. Hold on. Not that I haven't seen The Shining, it's just that I never saw The Shining completely. And by that I mean is my parents weren't a big they weren't big horror fans, so I never really had any horror movies as a child laying around. My introduction to horror was more like when I was a teenager, and it started with John Carpenter's Halloween. That was my introduction to horror films. And so what I'm trying to say is I didn't have any of those movies lying around. I didn't have The Shining on VHS, I didn't have The Shining on DVD, and I certainly did not have The Shining on Blu-ray. So my first time actually seeing the movie fully was in 4K at the theater. And I gotta say, that's where you have to see the movie. It's one of those films that you have to see in the theater because the darkness of the theater room and the house you're sitting in, it gives off an eerie vibe. And that's what Stanley Kubrick, the director of The Shining, really gives off in this film. It is a very eerie, creepy vibe. Before, when I used to catch The Shining on television, usually it was on AMC Fear Fest. That was the only time I ever got to see The Shining. It wasn't scared of me. I was frankly, I was kind of bored. It felt dull. But then when I saw it in the theater, a whole different emotion took over me. I was scared, and that says a lot because I'm not really scared with horror films. That's just not my thing. I love horror films. So yeah, I was practically like getting chilled. And Jack Nicholson's performance in the film is so iconic, so great, especially with that one scene, the "Here's Johnny" scene. That is absolutely perfect, and it goes down in cinema as one of the best scenes ever. And Shelley Duvall does a great performance in that movie, and so does the kid who plays Little Torrance, which I don't know the actor's name, and he's going to be played by an older version as Ewan McGregor in the Doctor Sleep, which comes out in November. So I can't wait to check that one out and give you a review of that. So going back to my experience watching the film, I was sitting down, I had my popcorn, I had my Coke, and there were moments in the film where I was like, damn, how did I not see this movie at all in my entire life, in my childhood until now? But it was a great experience because I shared it with some great people along with me, and I loved every minute of it. Stanley Kubrick, man, peace to you, dude, because you made one of the best horror movies out there. And your filmography, Stanley Kubrick's filmography in general, is absolutely great. So yeah, now let's get on to the state of horror movies. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on the state of horror movies today and how they differentiate from back then. Okay, so let's go with today. Today, we have the usual Conjuringverse movies. There's so many movies getting put out within that universe, and they really don't have quite an effect as other older horror movies do. A lot of them come from Blumhouse. If you guys don't know what Blumhouse is, it's a production studio that releases about 30 to maybe 40 horror films a year. Not all of them come out in theater. Some come out on DVD, straight to DVD and stuff like that. But they give out some really shitty horror films, and then some they give out some really good ones, like Get Out, which got nominated for an Oscar. And that one is beautiful. So Blumhouse has their ups and downs, but with horror movies today, you really don't know what you're gonna get. And what I really don't like about them is the scares, guys. If you look at any of the Conjuring film movies, like The Conjuring, Annabelle, they have the stereotypical jump scare, and this is what I mean. And then, you have the movies back then, which have a more creepy effect to it. They're very slow in their approach, and they tense up. And, you're tense already, and then you see Michael Myers in the shadow, you see Freddy Krueger, his claw come in. Those kinds of movies have the right kind of scare, and those scares are kind of like this.
I haven't seen him for a while now. I think I escaped.
But overall, we need more scares that are more creepy, more eerie, and that's what I have to give props to, is the Studio A24. If you guys don't know about that, Studio A24 does those films are Hereditary. They do Hereditary, and they did The Witch, and they also did Midsommar, and they are doing The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson, which should be out pretty soon. Hopefully I get to see it, guys, because I want to definitely see that one. That would probably be my top of the year besides Joker, and I gotta see if the screening's out there. But going back to all that, is A24 does such a good job with subtlety. They do a lot of subtle horror. Everything is like how it was in the 60s and 70s and 80s. It was very subtle, and it creeps on you, especially with Hereditary. Hereditary is one of my favorite horror movies in decades. Nothing has, I think, come as close to that. Everything's very out there and poppy, and they try so hard to scare you. When Hereditary got me so anxious, I had to walk out of the theater, get a breather, get a refill on my drink, and then come back and watch the rest of it. You can ask my friends, like they'll tell you. They'll be like, dude, I had to walk out. Okay. I don't know. So, the point is, horror movies aren't the same anymore. And I know Hollywood evolves, movies evolve, and they start to fit the mainstream of what modern day viewers want. People want more scares, people want more action, more lunges, and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, can't we go back to those old school horror films? I know that some people are like, well, that's not scary. The regular, audience is like, well, no, it didn't pop out at me. No, manches, it was not scary. They do all that sort of stuff. But the thing is, that's not what makes a good horror film. What makes a good horror film is subtlety. It creeps on you. It's eerie. The atmosphere has a lot to do with it. And that's what A24 gets right. And that's what The Shining gets completely right. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining has an atmosphere that can't be touched by any other film. It is one of a kind. It is it has its own life. The Shining has its own life. And by the way, in 4K, it looked beautiful. The restoration is amazing, and I can't wait to get it for myself on 4K. So thank you guys for tuning in, for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video. Help this channel grow. And I want to know, what are your favorite horror movies? And stay tuned, because you're going to be able to watch my Halloween special here on YouTube. My first ever Halloween special coming soon at the end of October. Also, my other spooky reviews. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please share this video. Thanks for being a part of this channel, guys. It really means a lot to me. I'm signing off. Thank you.